Happy Saturday evening, everyone. What's going on? Welcome to a non-Winged Eagle podcast. This is just a video. This is just a live stream. We're going to hang out and chill. Talk about last night's SmackDown. We're going to predict tomorrow's NXT Takeover in your house, which looks like a pretty good card. We'll touch on Backlash, maybe talk about some wrestling news, hang out for a little bit, and that's going to be it. And that's going to be the formula for next week as well, because we have Backlash on Sunday night. So we'll talk about that. I'll let you guys know what my plans are in the next week or so in terms of videos and live streams and things like that. It should be, hopefully anyway, a really fun next couple of weeks. How y'all doing? How y'all been? I know at least 50 or so of you were hanging out in the chat waiting for my lazy ass to get up here. I was running a little bit late today. I have worked my balls off this week, so it's been really busy week, really hectic, and now finally I'm home, and I do not have to go back to my fucking job, as much as I love it. Don't have to go back there until Tuesday afternoon, so I got some time to hang out with you guys, and again, for the third straight week now, I believe, this will be 3 consecutive nights of streaming, as I'll be up here tomorrow right after In Your House, and I'll be up here Monday night after Raw, as usual. And that'll be the same deal for next week as well. So then it'll be 4. And then it'll probably be 5, because after that, I'm planning on doing a live stream, a Patreon live stream for the next couple of Sundays after Backlash. So you're going to get a whole lot of me on the weekends. I hope you guys can pencil me in. You guys doing all right? You guys can hear me right? Let me double check. All right, we look good. All right, good to see you, Sonic and Shell Shock and Ian and Devlin. What's up? My husband, Ben Espinoza, Austin, Michael Cuomo, Dre, Luna, Stone Cold, Sports Fanatic, Big J, Mark, Zane. Nice. All right. So hopefully we'll have a nice little audience in here. Normally I'm up at 5 o'clock for the Winged Eagle, my time anyway, but I was working all day today, so I knew I was gonna need an extra hour to kind of get everything ready. So that's why we came up on Wednesday this past week and talked about NXT and AEW. That's something that's going to be pretty rare on this channel, but I want to be prepared to do it when I can. So given the fact that Backlash is next week, what I'm planning on doing, unless something crazy happens with work, what my plan is to do next week is to do exactly what I did this week. So you'll have me Monday night after Raw, and then Wednesday night after Dynamite and NXT, I'll come up and do a review of both of those shows. Then on Saturday next week, this time, again, this will be Backlash predictions, and then we'll review Backlash the following night. So basically, copy this week and paste it into next. I'm going to try to do everything the same way. If anything changes, and I'm not able to do that for whatever reason, just follow me on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll keep you guys informed all over the place. So that's all I really got to tell you for schedule. Luckily, we don't have 5.5 hours of nonsense before we really get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. But I want to let you guys know what my plans are for the first half of June. And like I said, I got a couple of really cool Patreon live streams in the works. I'll be doing those both before the month is over, and one should be coming up pretty quick, probably right after Backlash. I'll nail down like a Tuesday or a Sunday or something like that, and we'll get it done, and it'll be fun. How Wheezy, good to see you in here as well, man. Good, I got a couple of monkey wrenches to handle things in here. Brian Childers, JL. Alex Bryant, Sam. All right. So we shall see how we do this evening. All we're going to do, I'm not even going to really touch on wrestling news. I went through it all, read through some of the news in the past couple of days. Things we could talk about if we wanted to, but nothing really, earth-shattering or anything. So maybe at the end, if you guys want to do some chatting in terms of that, like pro wrestling news or whatever, maybe we'll do it real time and just peek on over some of the websites and see what they have to say, and we can talk about that at the end. But otherwise, we'll probably just mostly focus on SmackDown last night and predict In Your House for tomorrow, because I'm looking forward to this takeover. I like the throwback. Who saw Todd Pettengill? Just yesterday, WWE released a video of him. Didn't we just say that on the podcast? It was either this past Monday or it was a week ago on the Winged Eagle last Saturday. And I had said WWE would be idiots if they wouldn't at least call Todd. He came in to do that. In Your House DVD right there. So he could easily record something and send it in. He seems to be on good terms with them. So I thought they would be crazy not to include him in something. And he did that little cameo spot that they put up with them kind of doing like an In Your House report. Very cool stuff. Always cool to hear Todd Pettengill's voice, although he is morphing completely into Gary Shandling. Did you notice that? Todd looks very different than he did back in 1994, but always great to see him. I marked out for that, and I loved it. So anyway, In Your House is looking good for tomorrow. I think In Your House is almost 100% going to be better than Backlash if I had to take a wild guess or whatever, but we'll see what goes on next week. Let's start with SmackDown last night, because there was some pretty big news coming out of the SmackDown tapings. I'm going to fucking kill my cat. I saw him up there, and I'm like, he's going to jump on the table, and I'm going to murder him. They screw me over every time I do a podcast. Anyway, last night, I'm not going to go through the full results match by match. I took the easy way out here. I worked like a 10-hour day yesterday. I was exhausted last night. I didn't want to torture myself, because based on the social media reaction, SmackDown was kind of interesting, but nobody was giving it like raving reviews. So I was curious about the title change, maybe another thing or two, and that was it. So I'm like, I'm not going to, make a chore and sit here for 2 hours and watch my DVR of SmackDown. I YouTube this shit. So I apologize for kind of having the Cliff's Notes version of SmackDown, but life was busy this week, so it was the best I could do. But we do have brand new women's tag team champions now in the WWE. Bayley and Sasha defeated Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss in a match that I probably would have booked it the same way. I'm actually cool with Sasha and Bayley winning the titles, because there's a story there, the whole thing from a year ago or a year and a half ago now, whatever it was, when they were champs, and then they lost the belt so quickly at WrestleMania and led to Sasha leaving and all this shit. So the fact that they kind of came full circle there and won the belts, I think it was a good idea. Now, normally when you have, two superpower teammates, the Austins and Triple H's and shit, you always got to slap the titles on them, because it's just what you do. But here it was like a little bit more because of the previous story. And they even spoofed the whole story from last year, with Ryan Satin saying, oh, they were laying on the ground crying during the, WrestleMania after they lost the titles. So they did like a little photo op here of them laying down crying with the titles after they won. So I did kind of like that. I'm not really a fan of just moving the belts from team to team or person to person. And Alexa and Nikki had just recently won them back, and they beat the Kabukis for them, which are no two slouches. And their alliance seems to be more important than it was when it started. At first, I'm like, oh, Alexa Bliss is just going to use her, and this is going to be stupid, and I'm not interested in it. But they became actual friends, and I thought they had more mileage, a little bit more mileage left before you inevitably took the belt off of them. But the fact that they put it on Bayley and Sasha, I can see why. I totally understand. So anyway, new tag team champions. We'll see when that leads to the actual implosion. I think it was Sasha getting the pin on Nikki with like a crucifix or something, kind of a dead pin, to be honest. It wasn't like a really big earth-shattering moment. And let me say this too about SmackDown and all of WWE. I'm not liking the Performance Center people in the crowd. They don't have the same energy that the AEW crowd does. And according to the reports, apparently it's absolute hell being one of these Performer Center recruits or trainees, because they're just like on their feet for like 10 hours, or like not allowed to sit down and shit. It sounds very barbaric, some of the conditions that they have to go through. Read a cute story about Nikki Cross bringing them all pizzas and shit. And when you look at what AEW does, they don't have these like restrictions on them. They can do whatever they want out there. They don't have the plexiglass in the way. There's much more people there, and they just have tons of more energy. And this just fucking sounds awful. So there was also a couple of reshoots that I read on Fightful Select today, because since they're doing this at the PC, if they don't like the way something's going, they can just reshoot it. So they've done that a couple of times. One of the reshoots they've done was with MVP, when he referred to the people in the audience as the NXT talent or whatever, and they had to come over the loudspeakers and cut off his promo and say, refer to them as something else, some long-winded worded bullshit. So it's like, Jesus, WWE, the way they just micromanage everything to death. I bet the talent can't wait to go back to live, because taped is a goddamn nightmare, apparently, especially when you have no crowd there, and they can just make you do 40 takes of something until you get it to Vince's liking or whatever. So that sounds horrible that they're doing all that. But anyway, that is the biggest news coming out of SmackDown. Bayley, Sasha, new tag team champions, good for them. Not sure if they're still shooting for SummerSlam for those two or not, probably, because you're still got 1, 2, 2.5 or more months until SummerSlam, and we don't even know where SummerSlam is going to be. So there's also the possibility it could be postponed, even though I don't think so. They didn't postpone WrestleMania. They ain't postponing SummerSlam in my book. But, unless, they say, hey, in 2 weeks you can bring fans in, then they'll say, okay, we'll postpone it. But otherwise, I think it'll go off on that date. Might just be somewhere else, probably, in the Performance Center. Oh, by the way, super chats that are rolling in, I'll knock those out as soon as we're wrapping up SmackDown. I'll backtrack and hit them all. Miz and Morrison and Strowman were at it because, of course, this is the title match at Backlash, which just sucks on paper because nothing's going to happen here. You don't even need Strowman defending the title, in my mind, if this is who he's going to face these two in a handicap match. You know that Miz and Morrison are not going to be winning this title, are they? So they had all these antics on SmackDown last night. Miz and Morrison are like in a van. They're like little FBI agents doing surveillance on people or something. So they've set up all these pranks for Braun Strowman. They rigged one of his water bottles, probably, I don't know with what, but they poured water in it and exploded all over him. Braun's kind of sporting a kind of a cool looking mohawk. And then he's doing an interview, Strowman's with Kayla Braxton, I think. And she is slime. There's some slime falls from this fucking, what's that show on Nickelodeon? You can't do that on television. I grew up with that. Get out of here, buddy. So she gets slimed, and I think the slime was meant for Strowman. I mean, what the fuck are we watching here? And then it gets a little more violent. I mean, it went from a water bottle to slime to Miz and Morrison fucking with Braun Strowman's car. It's a good thing he didn't have a Kia. That insurance would have been through the roof. But anyway, they smashed the window on the car, and I don't know which happened first because I watched these all jacked out of order on YouTube. So I don't know. I'm assuming that the last thing we saw was Strowman flipping over the van. But I watched them in different order. So at first I thought maybe Strowman flipped over the van and then Miz and Morrison got out and smashed the car, but I think it was the other way around. Miz and Morrison are in the van. Strowman knows they're in there. He finds them and then he tips it over. So for at least the 7th time, this guy's tipped over a vehicle. I mean, how many vehicles now has he manhandled or tipped over or destroyed? So this is kind of growing a little bit tiresome now, especially since we don't have the same love for Strowman that we used to. I was a Strowman mark 2 years ago. But WWE #1 killed him, and he blocked me on Twitter, and he's kind of an idiot too. He really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, the way his opinions were after the COVID stuff, and basically said people that are affected by this pandemic and lost their job, sucks for you, you should have worked harder, kind of thing. Just totally insensitive, and just completely reeked of ignorance, and people gave him shit for it, including me, and it got me blocked. So obviously I don't love him and find him as great as I used to. But he's still the champ, and he does not need to be losing right here, especially to Miz and Morrison. And if they did do some sort of a co-champion thing with the two of them, that would be absolute shit. So, no, he's going to kill them at Backlash. So, yeah, that was that. They just had a bunch of antics, and we got to sit through this shit one more week because, you know, Backlash next week is the go-home show. So I'm sure something else will be done, but at the pay-per-view, I'm sure it's going to be a double choke slam, double pin kind of thing, and the champ will stay strong. AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan were cutting a promo there, of course, in the finals of the Intercontinental title tournament. Funny thing is, I went on WWE.com to look at the Backlash card, and that match is not listed here. So am I wrong? Isn't this match happening on Backlash? Maybe it's happening next week on SmackDown and I'm stupid, or maybe WWE just hasn't updated their damn website yet. But from what I understood, this match was taking place on SmackDown, or on Backlash. They probably mentioned it 5 times on SmackDown last night. I just didn't watch it. But I did see a little bit of the promo, and it's really hard for me to watch that ugly-ass belt sitting there in between the two of them. But in a lot of ways, it really does signify. I mean, I'm an Intercontinental title mark, especially back in the old days. I miss the days when the belt felt real. I miss the days when the belt looked like fucking that and not a pile of shit. And I really miss the days when the belt was the workhorse title. And I feel like you get that here with these two guys. I mean, you talk about, you know, Savage and Steamboat type of affair here. So yeah, AJ and Daniel Bryan is going to be great. In the promo, they each kind of say they're going to win. And these guys are very different personalities in and out of the ring, too, which is kind of cool. AJ winds up offering up a match, giving Daniel's buddy Drew Gulak an opportunity, who just re-signed, and we're all very happy that he's not gone, because I was surprised when we heard about his release, because I'm like, man, it seemed like he was finally doing something, you know, having an alliance with Daniel Bryan. This could lead to good things, and then he was gone, and holy shit, now he's back, and WWE must have been appreciative of him re-signing with them, because he beat AJ Styles clean in that match. Basically countered a Styles clash and bridged into a pinning combination and put AJ down. No funny business, no nothing. So welcome back, Drew. So we'll see at Backlash, or if I'm an idiot, whenever the Intercontinental title match takes place, who wins. I guess I'm okay either way. Has AJ been IC champ yet? I don't think he has, right? So that might be cool for him. Daniel Bryan, I think I like more, for sure. But both guys, I just have immense respect for what they do in the ring. So as in terms of who's more worthy of being the Intercontinental Champion between these two, I think it's a fucking tie. So really, at the end of the day, I'm cool with whoever comes out of that match as champion, because I know the belt will be around the waist of a good performer. And I'm also hoping that Drew Gulak gets into that mix somehow too. Now that he's back and re-signed, I'm sure that's going to lead to some sort of an eventual match and victory over Daniel Bryan. So, when I do my predictions next week, I might want to predict Daniel Bryan, because this is something I predicted months ago. Who the hell? Well, I guess when Sammy was champion, I was kind of thinking that Daniel would beat Zayn and then Gulak would beat him for the title. And there would be a big moment for Gulak to have beaten Daniel Bryan after previously losing to him. Now he's beating him, getting his win back, winning a championship, winning, one of the most over guys in WWE in the last 10 years. It's a big deal for somebody like Gulak, coming in and could have easily been lost in the Cruiserweight title shuffle. And look at him. He's actually on the roster doing things. So maybe next week I'm going to predict Bryan for that, because I want to see, something bigger for Gulak in the future. That could be the direction they're going. But anyway, the IC match is going to be fun. Can't wait for that. Jeff Hardy and Sheamus is now official for Backlash as well. As suspected, Sheamus was behind the whole deal last week. So that whole elaborate thing that they did, they had a chance to kind of stretch that out and make it a little bit more of a guessing game, maybe even get the hacker involved in it somehow. But that was really, I guess, only written to be a 1 week type of angle, only to put together this Backlash match, which nobody really at the end of the day gives much of a shit about. Hardy was out there on the mic, talked about how he didn't do anything wrong last week. He was attacked and, he got to the arena and then he was hit by something and he went blank and he couldn't remember anything. Next thing he knew, he woke up and the cops were arresting him. And he's like, I know I didn't slip and I know I didn't, relapse into my drug and alcohol, but my head was spinning, but I still knew enough to know that. So anyway, he's like, after eyewitness accounts and saw a guy with red hair and a red beard get out of the car or whatever, it was Sheamus. Sheamus comes out and laughs at him or something. A fight ensues. Jeff Hardy eats a bro kick and he's tossed into the plexiglass a couple of times, and that was it. So Jeff Hardy and Sheamus is official for Backlash. Who cares, right? We had Lacey Evans defeating Sonya Deville, which I am really on board with, like, giving Sonya a little bit of a, a little bit of a push, I guess. And I don't know if it's the greatest booking decision for her to lose right here, but it was a distraction. Mandy Rose came up on the screen. She gave shit to Sonya Deville, and she's screaming, and Lacey rolled her up and pinned her. So it's not like, or no, she hit her with a women's right and pinned her. So it's not like it was clean. I wouldn't be beating Sonya right now, but like I said, it's not clean. I mean, for a while, it looked like they were going to be putting the title on Lacey Evans. She's, they kind of presented her and present her a little bit as a badass. So it's not like Sonya should be embarrassed to lose to Lacey. It's just, if I'm booking Sonya, she's winning for a while right now. But that's obviously leading up to a match. I don't know if that's going to be Backlash or if it's set or not. I don't see it on my notes here. But it might be a Sonya and Mandy one-on-one deal at Backlash, which is good, because I've been saying for months that one of the things I wish they had in the women's division was more underneath feuds other than just the title. And that's stupid feuds. Like what the shit Nikki Alexa did and do with other people and stuff. I'm talking like a real rivalry, between two females. There's not a title involved, but potential title shots could be on the line here. And I want to see more of that. So I think we get that in Sonya and Mandy. That's good. And I think when that match eventually does happen, you got to put Sonya over, right? Sonya and Ziggler won that mixed tag a couple weeks ago. So I don't know if she's just going to wipe the floor with Mandy, but if that match happens and it's one-on-one, I can handle Lacey winning last night. I'm not going to flip my lid over that, but I don't know if I would want Mandy beating Sonya clean in anything in some blow-off match. I wouldn't do that. Might as well send Sonya back to NXT, as they like to say. So yeah, no. Let's keep putting Sonya over, please, WWE. We all like her. Very few people have anything bad to say about her. And we also have some weird matches. I have the New Day and Shorty G. Shorty G's got a couple of victories over the past couple of weeks, which is random. He teamed up with the two remaining members of the New Day to defeat Cesaro, Nakamura, and Mojo Rawley. What the hell is he doing out there? Pretty much that's all I got for SmackDown last night. So I at least wanted to give just a run through of it. Like I said, nothing major. When I was at work last night asking for updates, some of the things you guys were telling me, some of the other feedback I was just reading in general on Twitter wasn't that great. And most people were giving SmackDown a relatively low grade. So yeah, that's SmackDown. So we'll predict In Your House in a minute. Let me go over here to the chat, say hello to more people, and knock out at least 2 or 3 or 4 super chats that have been rolling in. Who do we got? Nathan Hansen, I think you're first. Thanks, man. Appreciate the $2. Spending my night in the hospital. I got Rhea win. Okay, I hope you're all right, dude. Hospital. Are you there as a patient or a visitor? Either way, we wish you well. You got Rhea winning. We'll talk about that, man. I think you guys are going to be surprised who I'm picking. Well, we'll get to that. It's just I'm laughing what I'm writing down here, which makes me think you guys might know. But I've got some ideas of what I want to see, and then I'm trying to balance it. You know how I always do that because I'm a psycho. I'm always, I can never judge each match individually. I always have to look at it in the context of the whole card. So if I see myself with too many title changes, or if I see myself with too many heels or faces winning, I change shit up or whatever. So because of that, I kind of made a funny-ass prediction in that. But anyway, we'll talk about it. Get well, Nathan Hansen, or whoever your friend is. I hope they get well, too. Stone Cold, thank you for $2 as well. Classic pay-per-view name you miss most. Yours is No Mercy. We've talked about this. I don't know which one I miss most. I miss a lot. Backlash is back. I always liked Backlash. Armageddon might be cool. Maybe Unforgiven. No Mercy. No Mercy for sure. I think No Mercy might be my favorite as well. Yeah, because those are the only real stable ones. We had the Unforgivens, and we had the Armageddons, Vengeance. I don't really care about Vengeance. I'm trying to think of the other big ones. Why can't I think of the other big ones? Fully Loaded. Fully Loaded might be cool. That was only a couple of years lived, but I really liked both cards, especially the one in 2000. The triple main event thing. That was good stuff. I'm kind of with you, Stone Cold. I'm going to go No Mercy. They'll do that one again, though. They've done that one in recent years because Miz and Dolph had that big career match there a couple years ago. So No Mercy's at least been around for a while, just not in a while. Let me see. Who else is next? Devlin, good to see you, man. Welcome back. Thanks for the $5. Remember when John Morrison signing was a huge deal? The good old days. Yeah, I was happy to see him come back in, and I wanted to see him do something with the Miz, feud with him, or team back up with him. But now they're in surveillance vans together. I don't know what's going on there. The only thing that Morrison said that was pretty funny when he was in the van with the Miz, he said, "A wise man once said, 'This is how we do it.'" That was kind of funny. Anyway, so he can be funny, and that's the thing. He's got a witty sense of humor side to him. He's a little drier, because Miz is so in your face and loud, and I think they have a good balance there. And I think they should let Morrison try to be a little funnier because I think he's funnier to me than the Miz is. So I want more Morrison. But yeah, I never expected him really to come in and be a title contender. Really didn't think that was in the cards for him. Maybe IC title for sure, but nothing higher than that. I think he's kind of coming in for a paycheck. He knows he can go out there and have good matches, be on pay-per-views, make good money, and, he needs to do that. That's my guess. Reese Jones, good to see you, man. Welcome back as well. Thank you for the super chat. I saw something that they said where they are pushing the Sasha Bailey split, past SummerSlam. The IC title match is on SmackDown. Okay, thank you for that. So the title match is on SmackDown. That must be next week then, right? Which makes sense because how are you going to have Randy Orton and Edge with the tagline, the greatest wrestling match ever, on the same card as Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles, who are currently in the ring a lot? And younger. Well, maybe not than Orton. Younger than Orton, maybe. But anyway, they're in the ring. They're not as rusty, I suppose, as Edge. And plus, they're more known for wrestling, more of the mat-based stuff where Edge and Orton are not. So having it on SmackDown does make sense because if it's on the same card as the greatest match ever, it won't even be the greatest match that night. So, yeah, WWE, man, they really painted themselves into a corner. I'll tell you that. Next up, Dre, good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the 5. You're the one that's coming up on the live stream soon. If you're booking early 90s WWF, who would you put in line? Who would you put the title on for a year? I'm so sorry I can't read today. Jake Roberts, Mr. Perfect, or Owen Hart? Booking early 90s WWF. Probably Jake. Oh, man. Owen, I feel like they can all survive. Jake could survive a year just being that cold-hearted heel that does not give a fuck about anything and will do anything to any length to keep the title. Remorseless serial killer. I can see him being that. Mr. Perfect, I can see going on a streak because he's Mr. Perfect and just winning all the time because that's what he did. He stayed undefeated for, I don't know, maybe close to a year in WWE once before when he first came in. And Owen, that might be pushing it for Owen, but if Owen made it a year as champion, he'd have to do a lot of Kurt Angle type of stuff from like Kurt's first run, where he was pulling trick after trick out of his pocket or just falling ass backwards into dumb luck to retain the title, like he did in that 6-person Hell in the Cell. He had his brother dress up like him to screw over the Undertaker and retain the title, shit like that. And his run wasn't long there at first, but that's the way he was winning most of his matches, just pulling victories out of his ass. Might be hard for Owen to sustain that for a year. So as much as I hate to disqualify Owen, I might have to on that one. But maybe who the most fun would be and the most wrestling-ish would, I don't know, for the wrestling fan, I'd say Perfect. For the in-ring wrestling fan, I'd say Perfect. For the wrestling fan that enjoys storytelling, I'd say Jake. I think either one would be fine, because Jake, being a heel, when some babyface took that off of him, that would be a big deal. The Perfect would achieve the same effect, though. Those are 3 good options. I like them all. How Wheezy, thanks for the $2, dude. What happened to the Hacker? Jesus, tell me they didn't drop that already. They might have. No more Hacker? Well, forget it. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Although, one of the people rumored as the Hacker has been Ali, right? He just tweeted something like yesterday or today about a fan that asked him about, you're just sitting around doing nothing, or basically pointed out that, like, how come you're not on TV? And he said, he goes, oh yeah, it's a lovely feeling, just being in the prime of my career and not being able to go out and do anything and it being completely beyond your control, and something to that effect. You can go read his own tweet for yourself. So that might be his legitimate feelings and frustrations, like, come on, this is what I've said about a lot of guys too. It's heartbreaking for me to see somebody that's in their 30s when this is your window, 25 to 35, 25 to 40 these days is really like your window. And when you're just burning through years doing shit because WWE's morons in control and the creative writers just can't think of anything for you. I busted my ass and went to wrestling school and fought my way through the indies to fucking get here. And now I'm not doing anything. This is horseshit. So I feel bad when I see people just wasting the best years of their careers when they could be out there tearing it up and shredding all through that ring. So I don't know if Ali is legitimately frustrated by this. He probably should be. Or if he knows WWE has plans for him to be this Hacker gimmick or at least be a part of it. So he's kind of throwing the, audience off a little bit. Could go either way there, but it seems like the Hacker might be gone. Don't know where he is. Thank you, Zane. Good to see you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the love on Twitter. I'm still to get the hang of it. Oh, I got you. I might be wrong, but I heard rumors on McMahon souring on Lacey Evans. Who knows why Vince sours on anybody? And yeah, appreciate that too, Zane. And thanks for the $10. You were the one that suggested Chad Gaspard for the Warrior Award this year at the Hall of Fame, and I love that idea. Yes, 1,000,000 times yes. Will they do it? Probably. Who knows, but probably not. But maybe. It's not really, we have no control over that. But in terms of whether or not I'd like to see it, it absolutely should happen. But actually doing it is a whole different story. But yeah, absolutely, dude. Good to see you in here again. And thank you. All right, I think that knocks me out on the Super Chats. We're caught up. Cool. Let's get into In Your House predictions. I mentioned Todd Pettengill at the beginning of the show, how awesome that was to see him yesterday. And I did see it. I didn't comment on it because I was literally working like all day, but I saw it. It was one of the few things yesterday that put a smile on my face. I'm like, all right, I knew they'd do that. I knew they'd bring back Todd. I thought maybe they could do one better. They'd bring back the girl, Stephanie, or they'd give away something. I guess they can't be giving away houses right now, but good to see Todd at least make an appearance. All I really wanted and all I asked for was a cameo, and I got it, which means only one thing. Vince McMahon watches this show. I knew it. Anyway, let's get into In Your House predictions. I only have 6 matches written down. I do not know of any kickoff show. I do not know of any of that stuff. I didn't see it. So I only have the 6 main card matches, which is, for Takeover, is really enough. It's all we need. This pay-per-view doesn't need to be 4 freaking hours long. So anyway, let's start at the very bottom of the card. Big 6-woman tag team match. We got Mia Yim teaming up with Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart, taking on Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. They've been having issues, all of these women, for the past couple of weeks on TV. I'm really happy to see Shotzi Blackheart in this match after that Nar slam she took with the head for the backwards coffin drop neck bump that she took on the floor. Luckily, her neck broke her fall, so she was fine. And I'm really happy that she's in the ring and not injured. That's awesome. But I don't think the baby faces are going to win here. Candice LeRae, freshly heel with her husband. I'm liking their whole new presentation and their new attitude and everything. And I don't think it would like kill Candice to lose here. She doesn't have to take the pin. It's not a big deal. But I think there's more just momentum there with her. And plus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez as well. I think the heels have to win here. So I'm picking the heels. They're going to win. That's my pick. Finn Balor taking on Damian Priest. This one, I don't have to do a whole lot of brain racking for. It feels like Balor has got to win here. Balor is the much bigger star. Balor's just returned to NXT. He apparently at some point is going to be making a run at that NXT UK title unless WWE wants to move him back and keep him here and just compete for the NXT title, which would be perfectly fine as well. I'd have no problem with some Finn Balor and Adam Cole matches or Finn Balor and Velveteen Dream matches or Finn Balor and Ciampa matches or Balor and Karrion Kross matches. Any of that shit would be great with me, or Finn Balor and Gargano or Keith Lee matches as well. So there's a lot of people in NXT right now that would really be happy with Finn Balor working with. But I don't think WWE's going to pull a crazy one here. I mean, I suppose this would be a big win for Damian Priest. He's been in some big matches, but he doesn't come out on the end of those big matches. He can beat guys like maybe Dominik Dijakovic, but he can't beat a Keith Lee. So if he wins here, that's a pretty big statement win for him, but I don't think so. I'm going Balor. I just think Balor's going to win. And we'll see what the future holds for Priest. Don't know if they'll move him up to the main roster after that or if they'll just continue on with him in NXT and he'll just start feuding with someone else. We've got the North American title on the line, of course. Keith Lee defending against Johnny Gargano. Now, we've been talking about this on the show the past couple of weeks. I've been curious and speculating that potentially Johnny could win the title and pull some really shady shit here, but he's going to have a huge trick up his sleeve. Keith Lee has been pretty dominant. I really like Keith Lee as champion. Gargano with the heel turn and with the new attitude with Candice, I can see him winning the title, but maybe not here. I can actually see him winning the NXT title as well, especially if Velveteen Dream takes the title and Gargano maybe takes it off him in the future. So I've got Candice winning her match at least. I think Johnny's got to go down here. I think the only way Gargano wins this title is if we get some sort of a debut. If we get somebody coming in that we don't know about that's out there, or somebody's returning to come in and feud with Keith Lee, and they hit the ring and they beat the shit out of Keith Lee or something. Have to be a pretty badass guy to do that. And then Gargano's able to capitalize and win. Barring any big debut, barring Rusev coming back, I don't see Gargano winning the belt here. So I'm going to predict Keith Lee to retain. Tommaso Ciampa and Karrion Kross, I'm probably oddly looking forward to this one the most, even though it's totally predictable. I just think it's going to be an interesting looking match. I'm ready to see it. And I think, like I said earlier, I've said this the past couple of podcasts, I think Karrion Kross is going to have a competitive match with Tommaso Ciampa, but also have a clear-cut, definitive, holy shit, he put Ciampa down hard moment at the end. Like I mentioned, like how Brock Lesnar beat The Rock in 2002 for the title. Yeah, it was competitive, but in the end, that was a dominant victory, that kind of thing. Because that can be a huge statement win. When you put down The Rock like that easily, after he's just, owned the entire roster for years, that's a pretty big moment for a newcomer to say, I'm here, bitches. So I kind of think Kross is going to have that same moment with Ciampa. Ciampa will test him. He'll have him on the ropes a couple of times, maybe a couple of near falls, but in the end, it's going to be Kross putting him down, and there's going to be no doubt after that 2 count that referee's hand is coming down for 3. That's the type of victory I think he's going to have here. Kross all the way. We've got the NXT title on the line. I don't even want to say anything because you guys are going to fucking unsubscribe to me. So this triple threat, it's Charlotte defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. We sniffed this out right after it happened. I defended the Mania match just like I defended the Asuka match a couple of years ago. I'm like, look, provided WWE doesn't screw this up, I'm not going to shit in my hands and eat it just because Charlotte won at WrestleMania over Rhea Ripley. As long as Ripley can kind of win it back. Same thing I said about Asuka. As long as she can win it back at SummerSlam, I don't give a fuck. And of course, that was the last thing in the world that happened. So same thing with the Mania match this year. I'm like, okay, if Rhea wins it back and gets a win over Charlotte, then no harm done. It's kind of an experiment. Send Charlotte to win the NXT title again. Have some fresh matchups down there. See if it helps the ratings at all. Kind of, just testing it. See if it's an experiment. and then come back. Then she'll drop the belt back to Rhea Ripley, come back to Raw. But then they started going the obvious route when Io Shirai got involved, and we all were like, oh shit, we can see this coming a mile away. WWE is going to, yes, probably put the belt on Rhea Ripley, but they're going to protect Charlotte in the process. They're going to make it a triple threat. That way Io Shirai can take the pin instead of Charlotte. And then Rhea Ripley can be champion. But the more I've been kind of thinking about this, I can literally make a case for all three of these women. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see Io Shirai win. I would love to see Io Shirai win. I would love WWE to do that because she's, they didn't even beat her clean against Charlotte, right? They had a DQ. So Io Shirai's been so impressive. There was some talk about her potentially going back to Japan and not staying, so I don't know what her future is. I don't know what her contract status is or anything like that. But provided she's not going anywhere, at least in the immediate future, why not put the belt on her here? And if she does that, that means she's probably pinning Rhea Ripley. Either way, Charlotte's going to, be protected here. So if I had my pick, not my prediction, but my pick, like what I would want more than anything here, it's actually Io Shirai. Just for right now, I love Rhea Ripley. I loved the ending of her push last year when she finally won the title and what a badass she was. But she was a lot like 1995 Diesel, where he was just a mean ass kicker. And then the minute he won that title, it was cheesy promos. It was big smiles and shit like that. I'm like, this ain't the Rhea that I love. So I feel like that was done a lot in part by WWE, and it's their fucking fault. So she's not ruined or anything like that. I fully expect Rhea Ripley to climb back to the top of the mountain and to be a force to be reckoned with in wrestling for the next 15 years. But maybe for right now, the best idea isn't to put the belt back on her right now. So, like I said, my choice would be Io, but my prediction is Charlotte. Charlotte. Couple of reasons. I think you can save Charlotte's loss for maybe a different match, not necessarily SummerSlam. I know she can't be on NXT forever. She's got to get back to the main roster, but Raw is cool because they got Asuka, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler is waiting in the wings. Where does Charlotte fit in on Raw right now? Unless they just leapfrog Shayna and we go right back to Asuka and Charlotte again, which makes me nervous as shit. So I'm going to keep her in NXT for one more month, or maybe even until SummerSlam. I think Charlotte's going to win here. I'm really hoping I'm wrong. I want to be so happy to be wrong in my prediction. If Io Shirai gets that victory and holds up that title, I will literally be jumping for joy and never would be happier to be wrong in my life. But I think Charlotte might win, and I think maybe save her loss for just something a little bit better. Now, the only problem with this is if Charlotte does win, fans are going to freak. Stupid WWE, she always wins, but she really hasn't. If you look at her past couple of weeks on TV, they have not been dominant. She has not been the dominant Charlotte. She's not been winning everything. She's dropped a couple of matches, a couple of DQs. One match she didn't even win clean. So it's not like this Charlotte Reigns bullshit that everybody claims is there is not. So it's not like she's been tearing through everybody on TV. So a victory here isn't out of balance. People are going to think it is because that's just what's fun to say. Well, it's Charlotte again. I'm like, well, she's been champion and hasn't even been that dominant of a champion. For her to get a victory here in a triple threat, especially if she does something like take advantage of a situation like, they always do this finish. I always talk about this too, don't I? They always do this finish in triple threats. Somebody hits their finisher, and then the third competitor knocks that guy out, and then they pin the person that just got hit with the finisher. So, maybe Io Shirai or Ripley hits the, what's her shit called, on Io, and then Charlotte grabs Rhea Ripley, throws her out of the ring, and then pins Io. Something like that. So if it's like that, I'm not going to be like freaking out, oh, Charlotte and this thing is the worst fucking thing in the world or whatever. But that's what's going to happen. Twitter's going to explode, and they're going to forget all about Black Lives Matter and COVID, and they're going to be mad about Charlotte winning a fucking match. So we'll have to deal with that if my prediction comes true. So I hope my prediction is false, and I hope Io Shirai wins tomorrow night. But Charlotte's my pick, which leaves us with the NXT title match. Adam Cole taking on the Velveteen Dream. This is a backlot brawl match. Will it be better than Piper and Goldust? We don't know. It's already been taped. Have not heard the spoilers. Don't know who wins. Apparently, this is outdoors. Cars are going to be involved here. It's going to be like in a back lot. And then there was that story that came out about the NXT talent being asked to bring their cars or carpool. The carpooling thing cracked me up because I'm like, why are people carpooling if you want a bunch of cars there? Because shouldn't you want as many cars as possible? Don't know what the fuck's going on there. So anyway, cars are going to be involved. And I'm sure it's going to be quite elaborate because they filmed this on the 26th. So almost 2 weeks, 12 days, something like that. So they have plenty of time to piece this together. You know what I think would be cool for some of these type of matches that WWE is doing right now? I'd film 2 finishes. Now, that would be a nightmare for the talent because they wouldn't know or whatever, but I'd film 2 finishes because if you film these things like way ahead of time, you know, what if you change your mind? You know, we have heard that sometimes the day of a pay-per-view, they've just decided, hey, we were going to have you win. Now we're not for whatever reason. So if I was WWE, I'd film an ending with Cole retaining and I'd film an ending with Velvetine Dream winning. And I'd either pick whichever one was better or wait until the end and like let the talent watch it and find out for themselves. That might be kind of funny. Like imagine being the champion and not even knowing it. Like if you film 2 endings and then Velveteen is like sitting at home waiting for the show to start. He's like, well, I might be champion. I might not. I don't know. Guess I'll find out. Easiest title win he ever had, winning on his couch. So I think that would be funny if they did that. But also with all of these matches so far, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first title match, right? We've had the Boneyard, Funhouse, the Orton Edge thing. AEW had the Stampede thing. We haven't seen one of these matches have a title on the line in, you know, since all this started, right? So this, and there's so many factors at play here. Adam Cole, reports are that his contract is up in a couple of months. There's talk that he might go to AEW, and I mentioned that I think he'd do very well there. I think he'd be a huge part of the roster and a huge part of their world title scene for sure, 100%. But at the same time, you know, he's in the WWE. He's been taken under the wing of Shawn Michaels. He's been dominant in NXT, a year-long title run. But how will someone like him be handled and pushed on a Raw or SmackDown? I don't want to see Adam Cole leave, but at the same time, I feel like Adam Cole on AEW would be better than Adam Cole on Raw or SmackDown. Maybe not than Adam Cole on NXT, but him on Raw or SmackDown for sure. And his girlfriend is there. He went to an AEW barbecue with her, and everybody thought he was jumping to AEW. And he just went to a barbecue with his girlfriend. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But if his contract is indeed up in a couple of months, that might play into the decision here. Also, don't know whatever, if anything, ever came of those accusations on the Velveteen Dream. I'm pleasantly relieved that might have turned out to be bullshit. Either that or it's swept under the rug and we're just not caring about it anymore. Either way, WWE hasn't seemed to really do much to harm Velveteen Dream in any way. So if they're confident that that's a non-issue and everything's hunky-dory there, maybe this is where you pull the trigger on Dream. Because you could save a big moment like this. You know, Adam Cole has been champion for a year, but you might not be able to wait until fans are allowed back because you don't know if he's going to be sticking around with his contract or not. So you want to have it happen in the right setting. I always say that, but it would be kind of cool if the Velveteen Dream won this title here and you look back on it at winning the title at a very strange time and a very unique show, because so far no belts have been on the line in all these cinematic matches. Even the Gargano and Ciampa one, you know, there's nothing really on the line. So I feel like when you do one of these and there's a title on the line, if it's a title change, it should be pretty memorable. You know, yes, it might not be as wonderful feeling adrenaline-wise to win it that way as opposed to winning it in an arena surrounded by 20,000 people. But for the time that we're in and the uncertainty ahead of us, not knowing when fans are going to be allowed back in and when they are, how many are going and what it's going to be like, just do it now kind of thing. So with that being said, I'm going to somewhat reluctantly, because I kind of feel 50-50 on this, I'm picking Velveteen Dream to win the NXT title, which is kind of why I picked Charlotte to retain hers and Lee to retain his, is because we'll have this big title change to close out the show. I don't know what's going to be happening in this match. It's a backlot brawl, so a lot of, I'm sure they will spill out onto cars, on top of cars, doing all sorts of stuff, using all kinds of weapons, big spots, I'm sure, and I'm sure it'll be really edited and pieced together nicely. And we'll see. You know, we'll see, but in the end, I kind of just hope the match is good, and I'm confident it will be. So far, they've been hitting home runs with these things, so I don't think this will be any different, and let's go Dream. Let's put the belt on Velveteen Dream. He's more than ready. I mean, I had him winning almost a year ago. I think we were talking about him being NXT champion, and now it might finally be time. I also think he could be an NXT, or I'm sorry, a main roster call-up. Have been rumors of more call-ups coming up lately. So if Matt Riddle and Dominik Dijakovic and whoever else they're bringing up, if there's more, a Velveteen Dream loss here could put him on the main roster. So that's something to think about too. And not to discredit, because I think that could actually happen. Dream either wins the title or Dream comes to Raw or SmackDown. Where do you think Dream would be better? Matt Riddle, I firmly believe, is better on SmackDown, but Dream might be a toss-up. Dream might actually work on Raw. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm kind of picking him to win the title. I think he's put his time in. He's had great matches, great moments, great memories in the past couple of years on NXT, and some just phenomenal takeover matches that he's been involved in. So in terms of him earning the title, he has 100%. He's more than earned that NXT title. And this may or may not play into a role. I'm just going to say it here just to say it. But based on everything that's going on, a lot of the protests against the police brutality, specifically against, black people, having him win here might be nice. Just saying. And that would make 2 on your roster with Keith Lee. So just something to think about there. Don't know. But I just hope it's a good match. And it's interesting. We have not seen a backlot brawl since 1996. Been 24 years. And Piper and Goldust was pretty cool. I would think it's hilarious if, just thought of this now, who should do it? Because Velveteen and Goldust are, they're in the same neighborhood there. You know what I mean? As far as, the flamboyant type of characters. So what if Velveteen sped off in a Bronco in this match? That might be funny. Little throwback. Why not? Little throwback. So anyway, just to recap, I've got Candice LeRae, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez winning the 6 women's tag over Mia, Tegan, and Shotzi. I got Finn Balor over Damian Priest. Keith Lee retaining against Johnny Gargano. Karrion Kross over Tommaso Ciampa. Charlotte retaining the NXT title. Please don't block me. And the Velveteen Dream winning the NXT title over Adam Cole. There you go. 6 matches. Should be fun. I think the 6 women's tag will be just your little tune-up, your little appetizer, and then should be balls to the wall. Balor and Damian Priest, even though it's nothing special on paper, will be a good match. I'm really looking forward to, though. I think Lee and Gargano is going to be fun. I think Ciampa and Kross is going to be awesome. I think the women's 3-way has a great potential because all these women are alphas and they can go. And I'm really kind of keeping my fingers crossed behind my back that Io Shirai pulls off the upset of the century here and wins the title because she has more than earned it. And I've got Charlotte winning and Velveteen Dream winning the title. He needs to. It's time. In your house, it's time. That should be the next one. So anyway, that's it. I think I've been going, less than an hour, and I've already knocked out all my shit. Let's talk wrestling news, because I thought about this earlier. I got home at about 4:30, and I was going live at 6, so I only had time to kind of throw some notes together, get shit going, and I was like, any wrestling news, we're going to do real time. And my homies over there at Fightful will just peek at their site, see if anything's crazy is happening right now. You guys been watching Chris Jericho's Saturday night live streams? His quality is terrible. I need to teach him how to do some live streams. This dude's like a millionaire. You should have better equipment than me. Come on, Jericho. It looks like he's broadcasting from a Sony or Sega CD. That's not really that big of a deal. UFC's going on tonight. Don't really know much about that. Injured referee. Don't know anything about that. None of these are really newsworthy things that I care about. I kind of mentioned the retapes earlier on. And you guys can mention anything that you want me to discuss. Oh yeah, that's right. That's one thing I want to mention. Here it is. And I actually meant to put this in my notes. So Jinder Mahal was injured. And I guess the story was that it was indeed the plan for him to feud with Drew McIntyre. We figured that. Now, I was of the opinion that it wouldn't be a full-blown feud, like a 3-month pay-per-view ordeal or anything. I thought it was a feud they'd just do on Raw, with Jinder, taking a Claymore up the ass and being pinned like the schmuck he is. No, I'm kidding. But it was absolutely a match that needed to happen because of all the history there. A lot of fans were like, no way, Drew and Jinder. I'm like, you got to stop being an asshole. Like, that match has to happen. They were 3MB. They both won the title after being released. Like, there's a similar story there. There's nothing wrong with Jinder losing to Drew. He's not going to beat him. So if they have the match, I don't really give a shit. I think it needs to happen, and it has to happen, and I had no issue with it at all. And apparently, that was WWE's plan. I mean, the only way I'd have an issue with it is if he won the title, but I didn't think he would. And I didn't think he needed to win the Money in the Bank either. I'm like, there's already an internal story there. He does not need the briefcase to challenge Drew. He should be able to challenge Drew based on their history. All it's going to take is a promo, and then Drew being like, you want a shot at the title? And then Jinder's like, yeah, I do. And then ding, ding, ding. There you go. No briefcase necessary. But he's injured. And I'm trying to read what his injury is. Knee issues. Yeah, okay. So it's a minor surgery. It looks like it might have just been a scope deal or something. So anyway, he's out for a little bit now, and we wish him well. Nobody wants to see anybody out with an injury, no matter how much we don't like them on TV. I'm not going to be shedding tears that I'm not watching Jinder Mahal matches, but I want him to get well, get back on TV, eat your Claymore. We're ready. All right, so yeah, that was kind of the only newsworthy item here that I actually meant to stick in my notes and I forgot to. We got some loud people outside. Oh yeah, there's the Todd Pettengill, man, that's so good. They even have him in front of the green screen of the original In Your House little promo, like the little house they used in 95. It's that same house, and he's in front of it talking. That's great. Is there any AEW news I need to get into? I know that FTR, apparently they got a handshake with Tony Khan. No contract as of now, which is good. Probably gives them freedom to work elsewhere. Now, they might be kind of hesitant at the time right now, too, to sign a contract because we don't know when wrestling's going to resume. When things start happening again in Japan and when the indies pick back up and all of that, they might want to bounce around a little bit. They might want to take some Japan dates and shit. So maybe they don't want to sign a contract, or maybe they're working on a contract. They know they want to be in AEW. Let's get here now, start wrestling, and we'll work out the details later kind of thing. We'll see. Either way, now they're there, and they're going to be feuding with the Bucksters of youth, and that should be good stuff. Okay, Christian. I can see that too. Now, if Adam Cole retains the title, but winds up dropping it to Keith Lee, I'm cool with that. Totally. Does that mean Lee drops the belt to Gargano? Maybe. Get the belt off him now, prep him for Cole, call up Velveteen Dream to the main roster. That's a possibility. I ain't going to lie. My predictions could be dead dick wrong right here. I fully admit that. I'm not discrediting that at all. I'm not ruling that out. Vontae, you're late to the party. Let's just go ahead and block you. Okay, he's blocked. I'm kidding. Good to see you, though, Vontae, as always. Karrion and Ciampa is too soon? Maybe. But I also think Karrion, because, he's just been pushed like an absolute very important thing. So I'm all for him having a big statement victory in his first pay-per-view. Absolutely. And Ciampa, I think, is like the right guy, to be honest with you. He's the right guy based on his position on the card, the matches he's won on lost lately, and where he is. And we kind of saw him recently. He softened his stance a little bit about going to the main roster. Previously, he was like, hell no, I'll quit. You move me to the main roster, make me work 250 dates a year. You will never see my ass again. But now he's kind of like, if I can work something out where I don't have to work that crazy schedule, I'd be open to it. So, he's another guy that maybe they, want to bring up for some reason. Not that will help or do anything to the ratings one way or the other, but that could be a possibility for him too. So if Karrion Kross puts him down hard definitively, then he's off to SmackDown or wherever. So, I don't know. We'll see. Let me knock out some supers. Am I missing one? Yeah, I got at least a couple here, right? Yeah, got to get back to these. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so the next one is from Victor. Good to see you again, Victor. Thank you very much for hanging out. Sorry, it took me a minute to get to this one. What match are you most looking forward to at In Your House? Ciampa and Cross. I think that one is. I mean, there's a lot of them I'm looking forward to, but there's something about that one that's just intriguing as shit to me. And I think will be fun. And like I said, I think it's going to be a big statement for Carrion. Oh, good, Dan Price. I'm so glad you chimed in because I worked all day yesterday and all day today. I read your email 5 minutes before I went live, so I owe you a response. But I like a lot of those ideas that you told me about, and yeah, I'll send you a picture. Dan's been working on some t-shirt and logo designs for me, and I'm gonna have stuff debuting probably in a few weeks. So very exciting. Zayn Goliath, thank you very much again. Do you think Sami Zayn sitting out for as long as he is will eventually lead to his release? Maybe. And to be honest, I don't think Sami gives a shit. He probably wants out. Probably wants to get a release and just get the hell out of there. He doesn't seem to be happy there. Doesn't seem to be interested whatsoever in working under the conditions that they're in and stuff. And I don't blame him. And if I was a good wrestler that knew I could find work anywhere and I had a bunch of money in the bank, I'd tell WWE to eat a dick too. So I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this will just, when the COVID stuff blows over, if it ever does, and you fast forward a year from now and Sami Zayn will be on TV and everything. But if not, since, they had to take the belt off of him, I'm sure they're not happy with him. And somebody like Sami that already wasn't, treated very well. Really. I mean, he had some okay matches, but sometimes we all felt as fans that he should be a contender for championship belts, not just be used as a joke or be in obstacle courses, or even when he had his most recent Intercontinental title run, even that was kind of a joke. He wasn't even in the ring. He was being 1994 Shawn Michaels on the outside of the ring, like he was when he accompanied Diesel, and he won the title on a fluke from Strowman, and then that was it. Barely ever defended it, and then they stripped him. So it was kind of all a joke. But I kind of hope Sami gets his release because he's another guy. He's never going to do anything in Raw or SmackDown. They're not going to do shit with him. But he can do shit in NXT, or I'm sorry, in AEW, excuse me. He's another guy that I think would be well there. Wouldn't be like a WWE reject. It would be somebody that actually could add value to the show. I'm a big Sami fan. Totally. A lot of people were mad at him because he called out a lot of the stupidity here, but not me. I agreed with him. Who's next? A yellow one. Oh, Zane, you again. Thank you for another $10, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Rumors on Lashley getting a title run. Could it lead to a possible Lesnar versus Lashley match for the title? Yes, it could. We do have Lashley and Drew coming up at Backlash. I don't think Lashley's going to win the title. And if he does, then it's Lashley and Lesnar. Is Lesnar back to a babyface again? What is that about? Lashley, I feel like, should have a run with the title. He should have already. Trying to do it now, right off the heels of the wedding cake thing and the Lana stuff and all the other dumb shit he's done for the past year, trying to now all of a sudden, after making him, a puppet, just a childish cartoon character, now all of a sudden he's badass, a guy big enough and bad enough to challenge Brock. How are they going to accomplish that in such a short amount of time with everything they've already done to damage the dude? So I want to see it. I don't want to see him beating Drew, though, at Backlash. But Lashley, at some point, being champion, at some point having a match with Brock, hell yes. If they can get Lashley to that point again. I don't know. That's probably the way they'd put the belt back on Lesnar, don't you think? Lashley somehow gets the belt now, and then Lesnar comes back and beats him for it, just like he beat Kofi and so many others when he's shown back up and decided he's going to win the title. The way he beat Seth, after the Money in the Bank thing. Like, Jesus, man. So, yeah, that could be it. That could possibly be it for Lesnar and Lashley if they go that direction. But right now, it feels like they should be pushing and continuing on with Drew for at least a little while longer. I'm not ready to take the belt off of him yet. Unless they move Lashley to SmackDown. What's it called? The Brand to Shit Invitational? Move him over there, and maybe he can win the title over there. Oh, yeah. Cole and Undisputed Era need a Shield-like main roster debut with the title. So Cole coming over with the NXT title? Normally I'd say no, but they got Charlotte on TV every week with the NXT title, so what's the difference, right? Yeah, I'd be cool with that. God, I don't know. I don't know how I'd debut them. You got to bring them all. You bring Cole, you bring them all, right? And Cole, I would assume that, whatever decision he makes, he's going to make the best decision for him. But he also has other things to think about, like his Undisputed Era faction. Like, is it better? Would it benefit these guys more if I stayed? Or WWE would just break us up anyway. So what's the difference? He's probably got a lot to think about in terms of should I stick around or not. But his bread is buttered pretty well in WWE. If he was unhappy or something, or if he was a guy that hasn't been treated well or hasn't been used much, or you're wondering why he doesn't get title shots when he should be champion kind of thing, but he's been treated like a star from the minute he got there, from the minute he debuted. Ran in the ring at that takeover, and he was a big deal ever since. North American, just winning belts like a motherfucker. North American title right off the bat. The next thing you know, NXT champion, and 14 months later, gold still around his waist. So I don't know why he would want to leave unless he can just see the future, unless he sees what past NXT champions have done on the main roster upon going there. And if he knows, like, this is as good as it's going to get here. And that could be very well true. I mean, he could be telling himself that. He's not dumb. So he could be like, I'm kind of on the top of the mountain right now. I got a lot of momentum. I'm respected. I got a championship belt around my waist, and arguably the promotion that has the best wrestling in all the country right now, in-ring wrestling anyway. And how am I going to go to Raw or SmackDown and ever surpass this? Can you see that giant belt around Cole's tiny little waist? He's smaller than most small guys in WWE, so I just don't know if it's for him, the main roster. I don't know. Maybe, maybe that's something he's taking into consideration, because if he goes to AEW, he'll be huge there, and good. But I don't know. I like him so much in NXT that my instinct is for him to stay, because I want him to stay. Adam Cole is one of my favorite wrestlers. If I had to pick like top 10 favorite current wrestlers, he's easily top 10. Might be top 5. Like him a lot. Dude is so good. Thanks again, Dan. Yeah, we talked about that on Monday, Stone Cold, with Samoa Joe replacing Jerry Lawler. For the time being, it was reported there was a permanent change. I'm like, nothing's permanent. Does permanent sound like a word used to describe the fucking Raw announce team in the last 3 years? No. They've been jumbled up so many times, thrown in a blender, and spit back out. Yeah, I think I'm one of those. I'm really torn with Adam Cole, because I'm such a big Adam Cole fan. I just want what's best for the dude. So if he's better off in AEW, and there's a big portion of me that thinks he would be, the matches, and just, he'd be right in the title picture, and he'd be a big deal there, where I feel like, when he's in the land of when he's in WWE, he's on the same roster as Drew and Lashley and Strowman and Lesnar and guys like that. What's he going to do? Where's his WrestleMania main event? Is it going to come or not? We got that from Seth Rollins. Actually, Seth Rollins and Adam Cole matches. Oh, I'll take some of those. But, Seth was able to make that, but he's even like a little bit bigger. And I'm not saying size is everything. I'm not one of those asshole people that insist that you've got to be big and giant to fucking win a title belt. I understand that wrestling, all shapes and sizes of guys can win. Daniel Bryan had the big moment just a few years ago, and he's a pretty small dude. So being small does not automatically discredit you at all. I just think that in terms of position on the card, AEW would be great for him. So, and that's why I'm torn, but I don't want him to leave WWE either. But I also don't want to see him go to the main roster and be completely screwed over. If WWE couldn't make anything of Shinsuke Nakamura or Sami Zayn, or guys like that, how are they, does not make me very hopeful for Adam Cole, when there's been so many before him equally as capable. But once they get there, it's like, it's a different set of writers and creative. So they don't see the same value as the people in charge in NXT, dude. So it sucks. It's annoying. We'll see. Thank you, Zane. Do you think for 5 more? Appreciate that, dude. You're the man today. Do I think AEW will have a WrestleMania-type pay-per-view? I think they should. I don't know if that's considered Double or Nothing at this point, or All Out, or what. But yeah, I would like them to have something like that. They better establish that pretty soon, unless they already have. Unless it's going to be Double or Nothing in Vegas every year. That's going to be their Mania. That's fine. But I would like to see... I've just really been enjoying the Daily's Place shows, even prior to the pandemic. I just like the way that whole place looks. I would almost like... I think it would be cool if they treated that place like their MSG. Like if they went back there every now and then, twice a year they do a Dynamite there and it's a big deal. Maybe get one pay-per-view there a year and try to make that like their home base type of thing, because it pretty much is. And this could all be the beginning of it. The fact that they're taping TV there every week during the COVID stuff, if this kind of turns out to be kind of their home base, that would be nice. And I think they should have not only their own big pay-per-view, but their own like arena, you know, because like in NWA and WCW, you know, NWA, you know, they had like the Greensboro Coliseum. They had others, you know, Richmond and Charlotte and other places, but that Greensboro Coliseum, you know, where some of those Starcades were and shit, you know, that's where the magic was, you know, and that town was, you know, just so rich in the NWA, you know, history there. And if they can create that in Jacksonville for their own little promotion there, great. Although WWE might be on their way to owning Florida, so they better be careful. Dre, thanks again, man, for another one. Thanks for the $2. Besides Brett, which wrestler would you interview? See, I don't do interviews. I've always thought about it. I've got a lot of contacts for wrestlers and a few that I know would do it, but I feel like there's so many good people out there on YouTube and stuff that do interviews. I can't do any better than that. I don't like interviews. I don't know what to fucking ask. I just suck. It's just something I don't really enjoy conducting. I'll be interviewed. As a matter of fact, I did get an email the other day, and I get some of these all the time. A lot of people requesting to interview me, and I usually don't do it because it's a lot of times it's from somebody who started a podcast 3 days ago, and I just can't commit the time, you know. But this one's a little bit bigger. It's a podcast out of Singapore, and they've been listening and watching to me for years and very familiar with me and wanted to interview me. So I wrote them back and said that I would do it, and that might be coming up. But as far as me doing an interview and conducting it, watch Alicia, watch Chris, watch Sean Ross Sapp, watch one of them. They're great. But what I could change though, Dre, instead of interviewing them, I'd rather chat with them. You know, instead of having an interview where I'm like, so tell me about your childhood, you know, or whatever, I want to sit down on the couch, crack open a beer and shoot the shit like the table for three. You know, that's what I'm better at, you know, just talking, picking their brain, you know, asking them questions, but not being at like a more standard interview and just kind of let them go type of thing. So besides Brett, and I can only pick one, I don't fucking know, man. Current or old, I'd have to give that some thought of somebody that I think would be really fun. The one person I will say, because I've mentioned this before, in terms of a wrestler that I'd like to like sit down and smoke some weed with and drink some beer would be Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash. I think Kevin Nash is a cool dude. I've always respected him. And he's just kind of an everyday regular type of guy. He doesn't have that nerdy side to him that you see so much of in wrestling. And I just feel like if I knew Kevin Nash in real life, we would be friends kind of thing. So I might say Nash just because I think we can have some interesting conversations. But in terms of interviewing, I think I suck too bad at that type of thing to even interview anyone. So sorry, Dre, but maybe one day. Maybe I'd like to bring a guest on the show. I even talked about it last year or year before. I was going to hit up RVD. I'm like, let's contact RVD, contact his booking agent or whatever, and see if he wants to come on, film an interview or film a discussion with me, and we'll put it on the channel on 420. And I think I sent one email and didn't follow up because I suck. So maybe one day I'll get better at that stuff. Maybe one day when YouTube is my only job, then I can do a lot of stuff. But right now when I'm balancing two things, it's rough. Rough. Stone Cold, thank you for the $2. Do I think Ted Turner will ever be in the Hall of Fame? Yeah, I kind of do. Yes, Dan, you mentioned that you had dinner with Nash in your emails to me. That's right. I liked hearing that. That was pretty cool. And Conan too, I think. But anyway, Stone Cold, I think Ted Turner will be in. If Vern Gagne's in and a lot of other people that Vince went against, Bischoff is not in. I think Bischoff should go in probably before Ted Turner. I mean, Ted Turner had the wallet, but Bischoff made the moves kind of thing, you know? So I think they will go. I think people like that will go in. I can definitely see Ted Turner going into the Hall of Fame because with Ted and Vince, when he, even back in the Attitude Era and during the Monday Night Wars, Vince made fun of Ted, but you didn't hear hate in Vince's voice for Ted. Really. His hate was more for Bischoff. He considered Ted a colleague, you know, a fellow, you know, billionaire. They did business together on the whole Black Saturday deal. And then they went back on that, but Ted didn't screw Vince. Ted didn't he went back on a handshake deal, but he didn't do anything that real unethical to Vince. All he said was, look, my audience doesn't like your shit. And since we're on a handshake, can I buy you out of this crap, or whatever? Can we work something out to where we get the fans get the programming back that they want? That really wasn't anything shady, and it wasn't some sort of underhanded, dirty type of thing. So even though Vince didn't like Ted, and he didn't like that Ted owned a wrestling company that was trying to put him out of business, I think it was more Eric Bischoff's personal vendetta. So Ted and Vince were rivals, definitely rivals, but I don't feel like there was a legitimate, genuine hate. I don't think that Vince wanted Ted to die and vice versa. I do think Vince wanted Bischoff to die at one point. So Bischoff, I think, is almost a more controversial person, and even he, I believe, will go into the Hall of Fame. WWE has to honor Bischoff. Plus, he did a lot in WWE. It's not like he didn't do anything there. He came in, he was a GM, probably one of the better GMs they've ever had on the show, and more than deserving, because WWE's done that before. And if Bischoff does go in, then yeah, I can see Turner going in as well, just, maybe pushing him in one of those legacy type of deals, since he was, he didn't really have the wrestling mind, but he had the money, and that's, he had the right people in charge a couple of times there with Bischoff, not so much other times. But yeah, totally. I'm all for Ted Turner going to the Hall of Fame. Why not? Victor Colon, thank you for the $2. What wrestling show would you like to do a review on? Like one show, like a pay-per-view? I've done a lot. I think I've done all the ones that would be on the top of my list, because I kind of, at the beginning when I was doing reviews and stuff, I kind of had like a hit list of some of the ones I've knocked out. I still have a lot that I want to do and that I'm going to do, but most of the reviews in terms of wrestling pay-per-views and stuff, and a lot of the big ones significant to my life, I've done a lot of. So I'd have to think about ones that I've kind of like been putting off and say, I haven't gotten to that one yet. Royal Rumble 2005 comes to mind. The big Cena Batista spot and the quads. I don't think, and Vince's quads, I don't think I've done that one. And maybe a couple of others. My thoughts on Sunny. I think she looks like Greg the Hammer Valentine with lupus. Fuck her. She's awful. Go to hell, Sunny. Yeah, Stone Cold, you're right. And Turner was a fan of wrestling too, so for that reason alone, I almost think, as crazy as it sounds, I think Turner, he's the less hated one. I think there's almost like a little bit of respect there. And Vince has respect for Bischoff now, but like I said, even during the Billionaire Ted skits, I don't think the intent there was to be vile or vicious or hateful towards Ted. Vince was just frustrated. He was in competition. It's a war kind of thing. Bischoff was where the dirty shit was coming. And Turner was always he's just a nice, low, laid back little redneck, likes wrestling. You can't really hate Ted Turner that much, because he was, TBS and his whole network there was a pretty big deal for a long time. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm not doing the Heroes of Wrestling Midwest goon. Hell no. Yeah, Christian, I could do some more TNA reviews. The only one I've done is, Barry, are you here? Which one was it? Unbreakable 2005. I think that's the only pay-per-view I've done. It's on my, it's on the playlists on my page under PPV reviews. But yeah, I should do more of those, more TNAs. Owen Luger and Miss Elizabeth, yeah. And Miss Elizabeth should go in, and that's the shitty part about it. I think Elizabeth could go in. Owen and Luger would be tough to pull off. Owen, because of obvious reasons, and Luger, probably just a no. But Elizabeth, man, if they don't put her in, they are assholes. I want to see her get in. Heroes of Wrestling. I don't think I can take it, man. Like, you got to remember, too, when I have to do a review on something, that means I have to watch it. And that's torture. You guys are hurting me. Hurts my eyes and my ears and my heart. Oh, thanks, Barry. That's the show. Good. I was right. See, I can remember shit. Malcolm Gooley, I've had that request before. I do my best. There's only one. You would have already gotten these videos, Royal Rumble and Survivor Series memories, if I didn't have to do so much research over them. The cool thing about the WrestleMania one is that I always watch those. I always remember them. It's the biggest show of the year. When it comes to dredging up old thoughts, writing down some results. I have them all, the first, 20 WrestleManias are sandblasted onto my brain, the entire cards of all of them. After that, takes a little bit more of me kind of reminding myself, oh, yeah, and that. But for the most part, I remember all the WrestleManias and can talk about them, fluently. Where the Royal Rumble, I'd say after 2004, 2005, it is a blur. From 2006 on, well, maybe 06 because I remember the Rey Mysterio thing. But after that, it's like, I don't remember who won. I don't remember how many people were in it. I don't remember who returned in these things. I don't even remember what the title matches were. I even said on Twitter a couple of weeks ago when they were hyping the Edge and Orton match and they had an interview with Shawn Michaels and he was talking about it. And I'm like, why can't I think of any Shawn Michaels and Edge matches? They were on the roster at the same time. Surely they've had some encounters, but I couldn't think of one in my head. And then somebody was like, no, they worked a street fight at the Royal Rumble one year. I think 05 was the year. So I don't remember shit, from those years. So basically, in order for me, and the same goes for the Survivor Series. Survivor Series might even be worse because there's so many different players involved. You have so many multi-man matches. And some of the years there, I remember like 2013 and 14 and 15, if I can remember, those Survivor Series were really bad. And I don't remember any details about any of them. So in order for me to do memories videos on those, I'd have to go back and watch all of those shows, which I have zero time to do. So that's the only reason why I haven't gotten those. And that's why I've tried to knock out individual ones. I did a review of Royal Rumble 2007 just this past January, if you want to check that out, because that had the great John Cena and Umaga match. And when I went and watched that pay-per-view back to do that review, it was almost like watching it for the first time because I had not really seen it. I kind of remembered Undertaker winning, and I knew he was in there last with Shawn, and I knew that Umaga and Cena had torn it up at a Royal Rumble, at some point. So to go back and to watch that again, really for the first time in 13 years since the match happened and the show happened, was a treat. So I like doing them individually, but it's going to be tough for me to pull off memories. I could maybe do a King of the Ring memories, might be easier, without me having to, watch 70 hours of content in order to get all my notes. But maybe one day. I don't plan on going anywhere. As long as you guys don't leave me, I won't leave you. So we'll see how far we can take this YouTube shit. Zane, $5 more, dude. Appreciate it. Are you going to do an Undertaker documentary review next week after Backlash? Yeah, so that means, okay, it'll probably come out in the morning. So I'll be able to watch it prior to the pay-per-view. So we'll talk about it during the Backlash review. Absolutely. Unless they're saving it and they're not going to debut it until after Backlash. It depends. If I can watch it Sunday morning, I'll review it the night of Backlash. If not, I might stretch it to a different day or talk about it on Monday night during the Raw review. And we'll see. They made us wait 2 or 3 weeks here until the next episode. That's finally coming up a week from tomorrow. And then we have one more chapter left after that. I might want to do a whole retrospective review on the whole thing when it's over. Maybe go through and watch all 5 parts again individually and give you guys a full review. If I have time to do that, I will. It will probably have to be in live stream form, as most things seem to be these days. But if I can get up any sort of review on that, I will. But we'll definitely talk about it next week. If I can watch it Sunday prior to Backlash, we'll talk about it in the Backlash review. If not, Monday night. XFW review. Oh, man. I vaguely remember that, Dan. I don't think I want to relive that. I had to do that video. I don't even know what the views are on that. I don't think it's doing very good. The review I did a couple of days or last week on Wrestling Society X, because that was such a, I don't have the my brain can't handle that much energy. It was such a weird thing to watch. I'm like making my notes while shit's exploding in my face, and it was almost frustrating to watch. I mean, it was fun because I saw some interesting things, and it was more obnoxiously hilarious than anything else. It was more hilarious than offensive. It was just, God, it was like I didn't even know how to really organize my thoughts when I'm watching such a disorganized show. So I'd like to stay away from reviews like that because I don't want to freak myself out. Bronson versus Doink is happening right now on UFC. Boy, Dana White's stretching. Naveed, we talked about this earlier on. You probably weren't here. Sorry about that. I am going to be doing a review after the show tomorrow. Takeover review. So immediately following In Your House, I'll be here. We'll be talking about it. I've got a very loud, large bird outside, and my cat Tito is about to shit a brick. You all right, buddy? He can't get you. He's scary, though. Yeah, Human Tornado. I liked Human Tornado. He impressed me. He impressed me enough for me to Google him. I was like, who the fuck is he? And he has never done anything since then. So I was kind of like, he's probably some person in AEW that I just don't recognize or something. And no, he didn't really do anything else. But he was an athletic kid. Super athletic kid. Oh, the wrestler movie. I'm assuming you mean the... what's his name? Mickey Rourke? That one, right? Yeah, Stone Cold. I'd like to do more classic pay-per-view reviews for WCW, and I mentioned that. The most recent one I did, damn, it's actually been a while. I want to say October. I did Halloween Havoc, 98. Watch that review. That's the Hogan Warrior match that was such a debacle, and the ending of the pay-per-view got turned off with Goldberg and DDP, which I still laugh about to this day. But I tell an interesting story in that review. It was one of the, like, twice a year I'd buy a WCW pay-per-view because I was broke back then, you know, but I would still spring for all the WWE pay-per-views. So if a WCW pay-per-view was interesting enough, I'd buy it. And I bought that one, and it didn't shut off for me. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But when DDP and Goldberg started wrestling, I was able to watch their whole match without any... I think it did flicker. Like, it went black, but then it came back on, and I was able to watch the match. So most of the country wasn't as lucky as me. I think everybody, except for me somehow, wasn't able to see the main event, and they had to get refunds back from WCW. But I saw it, and I taped it. So it was like no issue for me. So I'm curious, other people... And I mentioned that in the, I think in the review, I said, if anybody else is old enough to be alive back then and old enough to pay for a pay-per-view on their own back then, did it cut off for you? Because for me, it didn't. I didn't hear about it until the hotline reports the night of and the day after, because that's what I would do is I'd play on the hotlines. I'd call ones you had to pay for. I'd call the New York ones and shit like that. And everybody was talking about it. And I'm like, huh, it didn't happen to me. I guess I lucked out. The wrestling gods were shining down upon GoodMicWork. Not too familiar with Hood Slam. I could do a review on that. Seen a little bit of CCW. Anything like that I have to completely introduce myself for the first time to a brand new product concept, promotion and stuff. It's going to be hard for me. Unless it's stuff like you're saying, Ghoulie, with, some of the current WWE stars and current stars we see all have history and roots in a lot of those promotions, Moxley and guys like that. That's pretty much where a lot of them cut their teeth. So there's probably some gems of footage in there. But, again, I'm venturing into uncharted. Dre, your first pay-per-view was WrestleMania 19. Holy shit. 2003. I remember that. I remember watching that pay-per-view. I even remember what apartment I was in. Oh, review on Stephanie McMahon's theme songs. Well, that's just cruel. I'll tell you what. If somebody super chats me $80,000, I will review all of Stephanie McMahon's theme songs in their entirety. That's no. Let's go $120,000. Let's go $140,000. That should be enough to take the pain away. Yeah. $150,000 should be fine. Somebody wants to do that, I will have a review up tomorrow on all of her theme songs. And it's still going to suck, but I will do it because that's what a nice guy I am. All it's going to take is 150 G's. I'm waiting. I don't see it. It's taking you guys so long. Review of WCCW. Again, that's Big J. I'd like to do that. And I could do some, maybe the DVD or something. But again, you're talking about a whole promotion with years full of matches. Where do I start kind of thing? Oh, yeah, you're almost there, Dre. But no, don't even worry. It's either all or nothing. But I appreciate it. You've been more than generous, dude. All right. Oh, you guys do me a favor? Smash up the thumbs ups there. We usually have a pretty good audience for the Winged Eagle, but maybe not today. My time is off than normal. But yeah, I would appreciate some thumbs up on this, and we'll hang out for a little bit more. I'll knock out a couple of more questions, and then I'll just get out of here because I got stuff to do tonight. My house is a mess. It's horrible. I got laundry to do. I got dishes to do. It smells in here. I got to vacuum. I got to take the trash out. I need to go to the store. I haven't slept. I need to take a shower. I'm dirty. I need to take a shower. What else do I need to do? Feed the hogs. Got to do all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I'm busy. I got to get to step in here so I can have a nice, chilled out environment tomorrow night for the pay-per-view so we can hang out. XPW. There's always so many promotions with X in it. Oh yeah, that's right, Dre. You're from my area. San Diego was weird today. It was cloudy and a little bit sprinkling in the morning, but then it burned off and the beach was glorious today. Opened up and the sun came out and it was nice. It wasn't too hot. Pretty good San Diego weather today, minus the morning clouds. You have to rob a bank, but it would be worth it. Yeah, well, don't rob a bank in Hawaii because you've got nowhere to go. Jump in the ocean, swim away to the next island. I'll tell. Well, Ryan, I'd prefer to. I'd review Stephanie McMahon matches over her theme songs in a second because some of her matches weren't horrible, at least interesting. I'll still never forget the one where she fought her dad. Yo, chill. Where she fought Vince. Who bled in that? Vince or her? I think Vince did. So that was strange and uncomfortable and odd. So that might be fun. I didn't completely hate her SummerSlam match with Brie Bella. What else has Stephanie done that I haven't hated? There's been a couple of matches here or there where I don't think it was that bad. What else did she do? I can't remember. But anyway. Stephanie has her moments. Stephanie makes me want to barf. But I think there was one time, what was the WrestleMania? It was the one time where I'm like, okay, I'm not a Stephanie fan, but she is hot right there. It was the one where she did the intro for Triple H. It was just a couple years ago. I can't remember if he was on the Jeep or the tank or whatever the fuck she was doing. Or maybe it's the thing where he was on the throne. But she was up above on the stage and she just cut this huge promo, this over-the-top, very Vince McMahon type of promo. And her hair is done all up and she looks great. And she nailed it. She nailed every line. It was very intense, very dramatic. And I remember being like, I'm kind of turned on right now. And I hate Stephanie. So whatever that was another very rare Stephanie moment where she didn't want me to make me want to gouge my eyeballs out in my ears. So good on you, Stephanie. Every now and then, you can give us something good. And that was good. But I don't remember what year. I don't even remember what match. Was it the Seth Rollins match? See? My noodle. Can't remember stuff. Oh, there you go. 32? 34? 30. None of y'all know. Dre, thank you for the $2. You could change one Rumble winner. Who would it be? Oh, God. What's my least favorite Rumble winner? Wasn't a fan of Del Rio. I got to go all the way back to the beginning. I'd probably change the first one. I'd probably change Big John Studd. And I'd give it to Savage. Or Hogan. Well, then Hogan went 3 in a row. Fuck that. Maybe I'd give it to Savage. I'd give it to somebody else in 89. See, 90, 91, don't give a shit about. Flair 92, that's got to stay. Yoko, fine. I'd change the Brett Luger finish to Brett. Fuck Luger. Shawn was fine, 2 in a row. Austin was fine, 2 in a row. I might change Vince. I would have probably given Austin 3 because they accomplished the same thing. Everything could have been fine going into WrestleMania 99. I'm not totally against McMahon in 99, but when you look at what they did, getting to the match, you could have still done the crazy cage match at St. Valentine's without having the Mania match stipulation, right? Because that's what happened. Austin turned the tables on Vince after he won the Royal Rumble the next night on Raw. He's like, hey, it says in the rule book that if you forfeit your shot, because right after he won, Vince was like, I don't want the shot. He goes, if you forfeit, it automatically goes to the runner-up. But I'll tell you what, I'll forego that right if you face me in a match kind of thing. So Austin could have just won the Rumble, and then they could have still found a way to do the cage match as your lead-in pay-per-view to WrestleMania, and that would have been it. So I might have changed Vince winning to Austin in 99. 3 in a row for him, and he would go in to Mania to win the title. I'm fine with The Rock. I wouldn't have changed The Rock winning in 2000. I would have changed the WrestleMania 16 main event, though. 01 was awesome. Austin again. That would have been, 3 out of 4 for him? 4 out of 5. He would have won the Royal Rumble that year, too. I'm fine with that. Triple H in 02, no problem. The fuck won in 03. Brock, no problem. Benoit in 04, no problem. Cena Batista was a cluster. Batista was who they were going with, so I can't really criticize that. Ray, I understand. Taker, can never complain about that. Who won in 08? Cena. Came back at Madison Square Garden, right? Wouldn't have changed that either. Here's where it gets murky. Who won in 09? Let me think. What were the fucking title matches? Triple H and Orton. John Cena. Big Show. Edge. Who the hell won in 09? Don't know. 2010. Oh, see, it's going to get all screwed up now. I don't know who won in 2010 either. Sheamus, maybe? No, not Sheamus. Don't know. All right, I'm lost. As far as I can go, I don't remember anything past 2009. You guys help me. Randy Orton. That's right. Thank you. I was thinking Orton was champion. He wasn't. That's right. Triple H was champion, right? Going into the Mania. Yeah, I always get that confused. Sometimes, for some reason, I was thinking Orton was champion. That's right. That whole feud that involved the house, the fight in the house and the window and the whole deal, that was with Triple H already champ, right? I know Stud was the second one, but technically he's the first. I'm talking pay-per-view. The USA Network with Duggan does not count in my mind. I will always consider Duggan to be the first. Or I'm sorry, Stud to be the first. And I think Savage could have gone. A lot of people like to critique, oh, it's real. Yeah, it's actually not the first one. Yeah, it was. It's the first pay-per-view. The USA one was a test to see how it would go. Edge won in 2010. Thank you. He did? Oh, yeah, Jericho. Okay, see, it's coming back to me. And 2011 was Del Rio. I can probably figure out 2012 if I think about it. No, I can't. I don't know. Yeah, in WrestleMania 25, Orton and Triple H had to follow the Taker Shawn, which is horrible. 12 was Sheamus. Thank you. I can remember them all. It's just the last 10 years I can't remember. I have to really, really think. 13 must have been Cena, right? Because he faced Rock. 14 was not Daniel Bryan. It was Batista. We know how that ended. That was cool. 15 was Roman. 16, WrestleMania 32. Shit, what's a fucking match? I don't know. All I remember about 16. Oh, did Roman win again? Roman won the title. Oh, no, Triple H won in 16, right? Did he win? Okay, Triple H won in 16. 17, I'm so screwed. 18 was Seth, or maybe 19 was Seth. 20 was Drew. 18, I forget. I'm almost there. Yep, I got all these. I just can't remember 17 and 18. What year was WrestleMania 17? Okay, it was what number? It was 2017. WrestleMania 33. Goldberg and Brock. Did Goldberg win the Rumble? No, surely no. 17 was Orton. That's right, Bray Wyatt. Okay, thank you. 2008, Murrah. Who the hell's Murrah? Oh, yeah, Nakamura. Thank you. Ah, yeah, see, I forgot about Nakamura. See how badly they fucked him up? Completely forgot that guy won the Royal Rumble. Didn't he last eliminate Roman Reigns? Roman Reigns has been the runner-up in this shit for the last 5 years. Yeah, okay, see, we figured it out. That can be fun. Thanks, guys. That's why I can't do these memories videos, because I don't remember. Now that we say them and they're written down in front of me and I can read them, I remember. But I'm like, oh, yeah, Orton. Now, if I really sat here and racked my brain, I could have probably came up with that. But who knows? It's like the game where you try to write down the 50 states. You're always sure you can do it, but you always come up with 46, and you're like, what the fuck am I missing? You're like, oh, yeah, Arkansas, or something like that, you know? I always forget Arkansas and Nevada and all these other places. But, interesting. Yeah, some of those, man, the Batista 1 and 14, I still feel bad about giving Batista shit. Batista is one of my favorite people in the world. I love that guy. The fact that I was so mad when he was back, it wasn't. I acknowledged it even at the time. Like, I know it's not his fault. It's just, Jesus, they're trying to bring him back as a babyface, and they're going to put this match with Orton. None of us want to see that. When Daniel Bryan is sitting here so over, and we're all clamoring for him. What the fuck's wrong with you? That was frustrating, but I grew to love Batista, and I felt horrible for, I wasn't even that hard on him back then. I just still felt bad that I was letting, it's what I'm doing the very thing that I accuse the wrestling fans of, letting their heart overtake their head. And this person shouldn't be on TV, blah, 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 all because they're just all caught up in the fucking glory of it. And that's what I was doing with Batista. It wasn't his fault. He had nothing to do with it. He was pretty much sabotaged from the day he got there. 15 reigns, of course, was horrible. Even The Rock couldn't salvage that situation. Triple H, I think the fans liked because it involved Roman losing the belt, right? Didn't he have to defend the belt title in the Royal Rumble? And that's what happened there. Yeah, and 17 with Orton going into face Bray Wyatt and that whole ordeal. And that wasn't a bad one from what I remember. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble where Nakamura won. So yeah, some ones in recent years have been all right. Where I feel like Survivor Series, the same can't be said. I think some of the Survivor Series in recent years haven't been that great. I think 17 was really good. I was at 18 in Staples. That was fun with the Brock and Daniel Bryan match and shit, like a week after he turned heel. Ooh, that reminds me. Yeah, that's right. We've got the Intercontinental title finals tournament. Daniel Bryan won the belt against AJ, right? When he turned heel, beat him for it on SmackDown, and then had to go in to face Brock at Survivor Series. The last few Survivor Series have been okay, but they went that stretch there. That year that they, what's it called? Unified the titles with Orton and Cena, or they did it the next month, but they had the face-off at the end of Survivor Series. That sucked. All of it. The Survivor Series were just shit. 2013 was bad, too. I think the only thing I remember about 2012 is Shield coming in. Or that was 2011. I don't know. 2012, I think. This is why I would fail miserably. Anytime I have gone on YouTube and done like a trivia show, you're messing with the wrong guy. Not messing with the wrong guy that's going to beat you, but messing with the wrong guy who's going to embarrass himself. Because even though I know a shitload of things about wrestling... And I don't know specifics anymore. And last time I was on one of those freaking trivia shows, they're like, who was the 17th entrant in the 2013 Royal Rumble? I'm like, I don't even know who won the Royal Rumble, much less who's the fucking 17th entrant. So shit like that. I'm just never going to remember that, ever. Zane, thank you for the $10 again. You are the best. I got to get off the stream here so you'll stop funneling money into the channel here. With Royal Rumble 2021, would you like to see a new winner or a repetitive winner? Okay, that's another question. Well, I can look at this myself because we just went through them. Who was the last back-to-backer? We haven't had that in a while. Roman's come close. Roman could have won like 8 in a row here, but he keeps getting eliminated. Yeah, it's been a while since somebody won the Rumble back-to-back. I'd be okay with but you might not mean back-to-back. You might just mean somebody that's won it before. So that doesn't necessarily have to be back-to-back. Either way, I don't think there's a rule there. I don't like it when somebody who's already been champion wins the Royal Rumble and all the fans get uppity. They should have given it to a new guy. I'm like, where is that fucking written? There's nothing that says a new guy must win Money in the Bank. A new guy must win the Royal Rumble. Sometimes that's nice when it happens because it can be used as a stepping stone to get them to the next level. But you don't have to do that shit every year. You can change it up. It doesn't have to be that way. We saw it happen this year with Drew, which was awesome. But it doesn't have to be that formula every year. And I think a lot of the fans in their heads think that it needs to be that way when it can work that way, totally, when it does, but it doesn't always need to be that way. So when you want to do a throwback winner and have Orton win it or have Charlotte win it or have Roman win it, it's not catastrophic. It's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. And the same thing goes with the Money in the Bank. Yeah, it's kind of cool when somebody who's never been champion before gets the Money in the Bank because they're like, holy shit, I got a chance to make my career here. But it can also be fun when a random veteran gets it, or when somebody that's already been championed 11,000 times gets it, like Brock did a couple of years ago. I didn't hate Boombox Brock. I liked Boombox Brock. So he won the title. What happened? He lost it a month later. Boo-hoo. Not the end of the world. So I don't think there's any clear-cut written rule of how things should be done. I think you should judge it individually. Depends on where you are in storyline. It depends on what your roster is looking like. Does somebody need to be made? Or would it be better served to go in this direction for storyline purposes? that sort of thing. I think the wrestling fans are a little bit too black and white and say, oh, it has to be this way. No, it doesn't. There's no rule to it, and there's no wrong answer. Dre, again, thank you for $2 more. Would you rather be a wrestler, manager, or agent? Probably manager. I don't want to be an agent. I don't have to do contract stuff. Wrestler, I'm really, like, I look back at my life, man, I'm kind of glad I didn't explore any wrestling school, because who knows what happened to me, how bad wrestling got, how many needless deaths I would like to think I'm strong enough to stay away from addiction and shit like that, but who knows what you find yourself in, you know? I could be dead right now, you know? I could have been of anything, you know, just because of the way and the rate that wrestlers die. I could be in a lot of pain right now because now I'm in my 40s. Everything would hurt. My ankles, my back, my neck, my arms, everything would be sore. But as a manager, I could be in the business, you know. I wouldn't have to put my body through hell. I'd probably have less temptation for all the other problems that seem to find you when you're in wrestling, whether it be relationship and problems and all that stuff, and, you know, and stressful marriages because you're on the road all the time, stressful life because you're on the road all the time, worrying about money and payoffs, and, you know, just constantly being go all the time, you know, while trying to maintain your sanity. Might have been attractive as a kid, but as an adult looking back, I made the right decision. I think I am much happier doing what I'm doing. But if I could choose those three, manager for sure. Oh yeah, Ryan, I don't remember that. So they announced Batista back then as coming in, so we knew that ahead of time. Yeah, I don't even think that was his problem. I think his problem was him coming in, winning the Rumble, and the fans being like, wait a second, every one of us want Daniel Bryan. We just saw him join the fucking Wyatt family to turn on him at the end of the year. We're all excited for him. This is going to be it. He's going to go to the Royal Rumble and go to WrestleMania. It's who everybody wants, and they gave us Batista instead. And he won it, and then they were actually going with it, you know, until they finally realized, I'm like, okay, we're going to get murdered if we put this match at WrestleMania. But they were going with Batista and Orton. So I think it was like Batista coming in, leapfrogging over Daniel Bryan as a bigger spot on the card, and as a babyface with, you know, with a higher position when he was off for 4 years, coming in and getting a title shot now in the main event, when Daniel Bryan has been breaking his back for the fans for years, and now we want him there. He's on the cusp, and WWE puts over Batista instead. It's very Hogan over Brett in '93 type of thing. So I think that was more Batista's problem, along with some of the other things they did, like pre-announcing his entrance and things like that. So we knew he was coming back. It would have been, I always say it would have been better just to come back and hit someone in the mouth. We're here. I'm back kind of thing. Like when CM Punk comes back, if he ever comes back, I don't want to see any vignettes. I don't want to see it advertised to spark a rating. I just want him to show up in the middle of the ring on any show out of the blue. Pay-per-view, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, wherever, AEW, just show up there, be there, and say, I'm here, kind of thing. That's where it has the most impact, I think. We're like, holy shit, Twitter explodes, and, you know, people are abuzz for weeks about it. But, you know, if you drag it out and you let us know they're coming, you know, there's no anticipation. I think WWE thought Batista was more popular than he was. And even though I love Batista, back in the day, I felt like he was the replacement for Brock, but only half as good, if that. Batista has some good matches, but when I go back and watch Batista's work now during his title days from like 07 and 08 and stuff, he could go when he wanted, but he's still no Brock. You know, Brock was so athletic and could do so many. He was an athlete, you know, where Batista didn't seem like as much of one. And Brock was also believable and credible. Batista had the look like $10 million, you know, but could he actually kill you? You know, maybe at the time, no. He's dabbled in MMA now. I certainly wouldn't mess with Batista, but is he as tough as Brock and as believable and as credible as Brock? No, not in my opinion. Not back then. So I was just never a huge fan of him, even though I didn't dislike him personally in any way, shape, or form. As a wrestling fan, I wasn't as excited to see his matches as I was Brock's, basically. You know, I try to be fair to Batista because I really, really do love that dude. Very happy for him, proud of him. He's had so much success, and he gives zero fucks. I love it when he calls out WWE for some of the shit they do. A couple years ago when he called out Stephanie for something she said, which basically goes completely against WWE's internal policies and stuff. And He just kind of laughed at her and poked fun at her. I thought that was great. Uh-oh, I missed a super chat. Are you sure? Okay, Dre, I got you. Zane, I got you. Scrolling. Oh, yeah, I did. Malcolm again. Thank you, man. How did I miss that one? I had a crush. Thank you for the $5. All right, let's answer this one. I had a crush on Stephanie in 2001 through 2004. I still say her hottest moment was WrestleMania 18 with that blue jumpsuit, whatever it was. WrestleMania 18. I don't think about that one. Oh, yeah, she was with Jericho, right? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Stephanie had it going on there in 2001 through 2004. And then, yeah, like a couple years ago when she did that intro for Triple H, I thought was pretty hot. But, yeah, back in her 01 and 04 days, though, maybe not so much in 04, but like 2000, 2001, she was so obnoxious on the microphone that she had that high screeching voice. But then she also changed physically a little bit, if you know what I mean. So that probably helped her cause. But yeah, she always had that voice. You know, now it's like, it's different. She doesn't have that high pitched squeal anymore. She has that more like condescending, you know, deeper tone, patronizing type of asshole that talks to you, you know, and that's why it's like nails on a chalkboard to me when I have to hear words come flying out of her cake dispenser. Jericho blocked Batista on Twitter? Interesting. Yeah, poor Ray. He got booed so hard. I don't think you mean at 30. I think you mean Dre at the Royal Rumble, right? When he came out last and everybody was hoping it would be Daniel Bryan. Because wasn't he like not in the Rumble? Was that the deal in 14? He worked Bray and I think he lost, right? And so the fans are like, holy shit. But you know what? If he loses to Bray Wyatt, it's okay. If he comes back in the Royal Rumble and wins it, then it doesn't matter. And when number 30 was about to come and we were all like, it's got to be Daniel Bryan and it's Rey Mysterio, instantly WWE turns this beloved Hall of Fame wrestler into the biggest heel in the history of the business by no fault of his own. Oh my God. What a cluster. What a disaster. What a debacle. Oh, what a great time to relive, right? Maybe that might be an interesting review to do. A painful one. Let's review Royal Rumble 2014. Maybe throw some love back at Dave for being so shitty to him 6 years ago. Like we all were. Blue-tista. Boo-tista. And they turned him heel, remember? Tried to make him he was being booed out of the fucking building when he won the Royal Rumble that night. And then a couple of weeks later on TV, WWE's like, yeah, we better make him heel. And they did. Oh, at 30. I got you. Yeah, at number 30. Sorry. But it was also the same year as WrestleMania 30, so I got confused. But anywho, all right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here now because I got stuff to do, and I got to be back up here tomorrow. I got so much to do in this house, so I'm going to get to cracking here and enjoy the rest of my night. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday night as well. Don't forget, tomorrow night, immediately following In Your House, I'll be up here for a review. Go over to Twitter right now and follow me at GoodMicWork because I'll be live tweeting all throughout the day tomorrow and during the pay-per-view as well, so you guys can chat with me if you would like, and then meet me right back here again. Same GoodMicWork channel, but not same GoodMicWork time. We're going to be coming up a little bit later, probably right around this time, actually. Well, no, maybe not. We'll be up here by then. Close. Yeah, so maybe around 7 p.m. my time tomorrow night. Pay-per-view will probably last 2.5 hours, is what I'm guessing, with 6 matches. So if it starts at 4 here, I'll probably run to about 6:30. So yeah, we'll be up nice and early tomorrow night. We'll hang out and we'll have some fun. So you guys be good. Thank you very much again. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.